There are so many options out there when it comes to senior living and senior communities, and sometimes it can be just completely overwhelming. Which ones fit your needs, your financial needs, your social needs, your location needs, your level of care needs? It is a bunch of stuff. Well, my guest today is Stephanie Valadez, and she's the owner of the Assisted Living Locators. She focuses primarily on Flower Mound and the surrounding Denton County area. Now, she provides a trusted guidance to families navigating senior living and care options during some of the most difficult days. Unfortunately, most people start this process in urgency. So with nearly 20 years of experience in human resources and coaching and nonprofit leadership, she has the heart and a deep understanding of how to support people through some major life transitions. So stay tuned to this episode of Relax, I Got This, Embracing Life After 60 with my friend, Stephanie Valadez. In today's world, older adults face major transitions like downsizing, relocating, or modifying their homes to age in place, all while embracing life after these changes. As a senior home advisor and seasoned realtor, Robin McCoy guides these decisions with care and thoughtful planning, helping create a vibrant future. Welcome to Relax, I Got This, Embracing Life After 60 with me, your host, Robin McCoy. Stephanie, thank you so much for joining me on the program today. I'm really excited to talk about what you do and just really the importance of it for our seniors.
Well, thank you for having me on the show, Robin.
So let's talk a little bit about what it is. We were chatting a little before, and neither one of us really like the word placement because we don't place people places. We assist them in moving. But that's what the industry calls you. They call you a placement specialist. So tell us a little bit about what that is and what that just kind of definition. What does it mean?
Yeah, so most people don't even know that someone like me, which is a senior advisor, really exists. And I can help them with navigating whenever mom or dad needs to move into a community. And that senior living community could be an independent living, assisted living, memory care, residential care home. It might just be respite, and family is needing some time so that they can take care of business or go on vacation or go to work. And they have got a business trip. So just different options for folks, but they're needing help in working through all the different options that exist. No matter where you live, it's more options than anybody wants to consider. And how do you make that decision? And especially for someone who may not have the capability to speak up for themselves and what it is that they want or need, how do you make that decision? And so there are just so many things that are wrapped up in that process emotionally, mentally, physically. And so I'm that guide that can really help them navigate, what is it that can really help my family member get the best quality of life that's appropriate for the care level that they need. And of course, meets their budget, meets the location, has the activities and the amenities that are important. And so it's really a lot of listening that I do for these families. And something that I have learned is that there's a lot of dynamics that go into it. And a lot of times it's multiple family members. A lot of it is the emotional aspect of things. And so we don't know what we don't know until we walk that journey together. And so for me, it's kind of piecing all the things that they share with me and the things they don't share with me and kind of making that best decision.
Yeah, let's dig into some pieces of that a little bit, right? Because, when it comes time, and sometimes that's where I'm involved too, right? As a realtor. And oftentimes you or I are not called at the right time. We are called when the urgency has happened, right? We'll talk about planning ahead later, but most people don't do that. And unfortunately, so we're in crisis, right? Mom or dad can no longer live safely in their house for whatever reason. It's 2 stories, somebody fell, somebody's sick, whatever the reason is, there's a reason that they're being forced to move out of their home. And so now we're working in crisis. We're calling a realtor. We got to sell this house. And mom's going to go. We don't know where mom's going yet. And we put a question on Facebook. Where did your mom go? and and so it's all we're Googling.
Yes.
And now I've got 600 places calling me all at once, and and I don't want to do any of it, and I don't know what it costs, and and I live out of state, and help me. I mean, it's happening like that probably more often than not.
Yeah, it's more reactive than proactive for sure. We don't typically make the best decisions when we are working under pressure.
We don't. We just don't. And it costs you more money. And, I think part of it is when it comes to senior living, a lot of times we think, well, there's the one down the street. We'll just move there. It's close. It's fine.
No. There may not be availability. They may not offer what it is that your loved one needs. And
they may
so
be
that's where
way out of budget.
Right? That's usually the biggest one. I think I get clients who have sticker shock as soon as they hear how much it costs, and they kind of just lose their breath for a second, and they're like, does Medicare and Medicaid not cover that? No, it does not.
That's the other thing too, right? Even my own mother has asked, well, doesn't Medicare cover this? No, Mom, Medicare's health insurance.
Yes.
It doesn't cover anything else. And people think Medicare is going to cover their housing, and it's just, but I think that's where you come in, right?
It is.
This is where you come in to break it down and define for people what it is that is, what's the real deal out there? What's the real deal?
That's what I love is the education piece of it. I get to share so much of what I know with my families. And that's what helps them to make an educated decision. They're able to feel calmer and more confident when it does come time because I've taken the time to break it down so they can understand what it is that they're considering.
Well, and sometimes people just think everything, it's breaking down the types of communities too, right? What is independent living? What is just an active adult? What is skilled nursing? What is assisted living? What is memory care? We're in DFW. We're both here in the DFW area, and you can't go a block and a half without passing by some sort of senior living community.
Yeah.
There's so many, and how does one decide?
I know. And, going to Facebook, I see that all the time. Or, I'll go on a tour with a family and they'll say, well, XYZ community was recommended because it was great for my colleague's family. And, I have to share with them there's a reason why they didn't make your short list of options. Not that it's not a great community. It just is not the most appropriate or best option for your specific needs. And so
what are some of those things that might be different? But for Susie Q's family versus my family. Yeah,
it could be care level. It could be that, maybe their assisted living is excellent, but their memory care doesn't provide the same quality of care. It could be that there's a change in ownership, and I know that. And it might not be the best time to get onboarded as a new family as they kind of work out all those kinks because change takes a little bit of time to get everybody on board. And so just trying to consider all those things that happen in the background that a family may not be able to find on Google or AI or even on Facebook, that is really helpful because I've spent time in the communities and I know the teams that are leading the care at all the different communities. And so that's really important to have somebody who has an insider perspective to kind of help guide you.
And I think that's part of it is I've seen so many people, they'll put on Facebook, where should I, what did you think of this? What did you think of that? And it may have been 3 years ago. And the truth of the matter is, these communities change leadership and care teams and ownership more than you know.
Yeah. I can't keep up with it all the time.
and that's why it's important for me as a realtor. It's in Dallas, it's too much for me to know all I know on the real estate side and even try to know all on the community side, because I can't keep up with all of it. It's too big. We've got too many. And that's one of the skill sets that people in your role have, and I want people to understand that, is that you do spend time in the community. You know who has been there, who's owned it for a day and who's owned it for however many more days and years. How long has that, care director been there?
Yeah.
Did the whole team walk out last week and now they've got a whole, all kinds of things happen.
Oh, there's all sorts of things, just like any other workplace.
Sure,
and so
sure.
It's nice to be able to have that insight because it does kind of steer my decision making for my families because I only want the best for them. And then on top of that, like the experiences of my other client families, I know where my families are very happy. They are telling all their friends, and if it's appropriate, you can bet that that's going to be on the short list of communities for the client that I'm working with.
Right, because and the different needs, it's care level, it's how much, you talked about amenities, and maybe there's some people that really want to be social and they need the social aspect, and there's other people that don't really want that, and so finding those balances. And I think when families go and tour, they're just looking, is it clean? Does it smell funny? How much does it cost?
Yeah. All the surface stuff.
Yes, and there's so much more to it.
Yeah. And it's really nice because, I spend time getting to learn my families in the intake process. It could, be multiple meetings where I need to do investigative work just to understand what it is that, what is their personality? What kind of community really fits them? Right. What is it that they're not telling me that's really important for me to consider in kind of making sure that the right communities get on their list of tours. And then, of course, like the thing that I also love is scheduling the time to tour with them because, when they start fixating on all the aesthetics, I can point out the things that really will matter if they lived in that community. And so that's where I think the insight also is helpful because, you don't know what questions to ask. And then at the end also, you don't want that sticker shock of all the added fees because you didn't ask about it. And, the cable, the telephone, the internet, like some communities, they will, put all of those as individual items, and that adds up if we're working on a fixed income. We can't do that. And so let's go ahead and work together so that the family gets the true picture of what that cost is going to look like for them each month. And also, like, if mom or dad isn't driving, making sure that there's transportation that's available to them, or, do they have doctors that round? And can they provide appropriate care for their loved one? That's one less thing that family needs to worry about, which is fantastic. Mom or dad is going to stay healthier because they're going to have the care right at their fingertips. And there's going to be the support to get the medication, to ensure they're taking their meds on a schedule at the right time with their food if they need to. So like all the things that kind of become little additional tasks for us, like there are people who can help us with that. We don't need to do these things alone.
Let's back up a little bit and how you landed in this role. Tell me a little bit about kind of your background, but why did you choose to do this work? Because it is challenging work.
Yeah. The why is really centered around what goals and priorities I had for myself and my values, and walking this journey with my grandparents a number of years ago. We were having a really hard time finding caregivers for them. And my background, I'm Vietnamese, and so my grandparents immigrated here in their 70s. They did not learn the language.
Yeah.
It's very difficult to learn the English language at that point in your life. And so finding a Vietnamese caregiver who could speak with them and cook the food that they would love eating was so hard. And that was when I noticed that there was such a huge gap. And I saw my mom. I saw how burned out she was working full time. She had, children, myself and my sister that she was navigating in her family. And so that sandwich generation, just seeing all of that made me have such a deep respect for this work and the work that caregivers do. All the time, whether it's formal in, a company or just in their own families. But that really drew me to this work in senior care because my position was eliminated last year, and I've spent 20 plus years in human resources, nonprofit leadership, and coaching, and I didn't see the opportunities that I would need to see to feel confident that that was the right direction for me. And I had this call to, I want more for myself. And I know I'm capable of more. And I reached out to a friend of mine who helps matchmake. So the same thing I do now with communities, but for business owners. So she helped matchmake me and find assisted living locators. And so this has been such an incredible next step of my career. I hope this is where my career ends. I would love that because there is such a connection to who I am as a human being, but also the passion that I have for serving others gets to be realized every single day through this work. The things that made me too much in my corporate career, too soft, too emotional, care too much about the people, not enough about the bottom line. Like that is, I think, what makes me really fantastic.
So good at what you're doing.
Yes, because it should be about the people.
Yes.
And it should be, based on emotion and care. And so I think it just was very clear when this was presented to me that this is where I should be. And, at this point later down the road, like I am that validation every single day when I get to hear from one of my families, like that's what it's all about. And so there is such deep reward in that. And, seeing my children and seeing their mom like do the thing that is scary, but so rewarding, that's wonderful. I can't wait to see where this goes for me.
Well, and I think seeing, when you talk about your children and them seeing their mom serving a community in such a way that, and I think anyone in this industry, if you don't come from it with the heart, then it's palatable. You can tell when somebody is in it for a transaction.
Oh, of course.
And when somebody truly cares about the human being and human beings on the other side. Mm-hmm. And, we've talked before that the fact when anybody moves, I don't care if you are 32, 62, or 82, it is traumatic, it is hard, it is stressful, it is not fun for anybody. But when you are in your 70s and 80s, it becomes more physically daunting.
Yeah.
Right? And so talk to me about how important it is to find the right place the first time.
It's so important because the thing that I have to keep in mind is that for a lot of these older adults, they are moving from a space of independence and lives that they have been building for decades. So this home that they live in, not only is it a home, but that is where their children have grown up. That is where their grandchildren have played. That's where they've got 40, 50, 60 years worth of things that make it home for them.
Yeah.
And I am giving them the news that they need to downsize, move, and that their new apartment, depending on the level of care, is a few hundred square feet.
Yeah. Yeah. It's under 1,000 square feet.
Yes.
And it may or may not have even a kitchen or refrigerator in it. Maybe, maybe not.
So when my families walk into an apartment for the very first time and it's one that is not staged, it is so overwhelming. They don't know what to do with themselves. They're thinking about all their things and how in the world is it going to fit in this tiny little box? Like, how do you compact your life in that way? But it's so much for them to kind of process. It's, not only the feeling of loss of independence, but it's such a traumatic shift like you shared because it's a move. How do you decide what it is that you bring with you and how like making that decision is so important. And so that's why spending as much time as needed to really understand what it is that they are needing and what's important to them.
We Are One Heart is a 501c3 nonprofit organization dedicated to bridging the gap between the needs and resources of low-income seniors and veterans. Rooted in compassion and love, our mission is to provide housing, living assistance, and access to critical resources that ensure dignity and support for the elderly in underserved communities. At the heart of We Are One Heart's work is the belief that every individual shares a common humanity, a heart connected through love and care. We are committed to creating a future that honors those who have shaped the past by offering programs and services that enhance their quality of life. For more information or to donate, visit wa1h.org. That's wa1h.org.
When I go and take my families on tours, if food is important to them, you better believe we're eating at the community to try that food
Yeah.
because I don't want them spending the next few years in a community where they don't even enjoy the food.
Yeah, because then
That's
they're not going
awful.
to eat. So let's take, I mean, and the truth is, okay, and some people go, oh, the food will be fine. The food will be fine. Well, it's not always fine, first
Oh
of all.
no.
And we have such a hard time with seniors being malnourished and not eating enough anyway,
Yeah.
that even when that food is provided for them, if it's not what they want to eat, they're not going to eat it. And then you start getting bad reports because mom or dad is not eating, they're combative, they're uncooperative, when
They're
really
losing weight.
they're losing weight, they're all these things, and the truth is they just think the broccoli's too soft. Or whatever that, whatever it looks like. And I just think it's so important to, like you said, touch on all the things, not just how pretty is it.
Yeah. And then also understanding which communities really take into account resident feedback. And so, like, if the food's not good, or if they feel like they need to add like a certain type of soup, or, they want a certain kind of bread, or let's do some baked items certain days of the week, like, there are some communities who are very open and receptive to that. And they want, like, just like what we would expect for our loved one, that they get good food that they enjoy. They have
Yeah.
that same goal.
Well, and I think, and it kind of goes back, words matter, right? Words matter. And when we say put someone somewhere, or it'll all be just fine, and it's, we want to remember when we're, especially, not only when we're just addressing the community and the people as a whole, but if you're talking to your loved ones, it's moving them into a new home, not the home. Let me be clear.
Yeah.
It's into a new home environment. And we want to make that transition as smooth as possible. We're not putting mom in a home.
No.
We're moving mom to a new home.
And the other thing I hear families tell me too is that, well, we want it to be somewhere comfortable where we want to visit and spend time with them. Well, of course, it's home. Like, it should feel welcoming. It should feel comfortable. You should have spaces that you can congregate with your loved ones and feel like you can make memories and visit grandma, grandpa, mom, dad, whoever you're visiting.
Yeah.
And so that's important too. Like, there are just so many things that I think there are so many perceptions of what a community feels like. And so, like, I tell people, it's like, let's just go. Just trust me on this. Let's go and visit a few, and you tell me what it is that you like, don't like. And if we need to, we will revisit this list and adjust. It's not a big deal, but that at least gives us an idea of what works for you and what doesn't. And there are things that will come up that you never even thought of that are like deal breakers for you.
Yeah.
It's funny what those are sometimes for families.
Because you don't know what you don't know, right? And
Yep.
if you've never been in any of these, and why would you be, right? Unless it was just a few years ago and it was grandma and grandpa and now it's mom
Yeah.
and dad. I mean, for the most part, this is the first foray into this for most people.
Yeah.
And so, but outside of sticker shock, and just so everybody knows, you don't darken one of these doorsteps for less than $5,000 a month. So even on the lowest end. Yeah. So, I mean, and that's just reality today.
It is. And, you can sometimes get lucky and find something for a little bit less, but that's for someone who doesn't really have high care needs or anything like that. But you also have to know where to go, because when you put your stuff out to the internet, it's like when you go buy a car, you will get calls from all ends of DFW of places that are probably inappropriate for your loved one. So once again,
I think that's a really important point too, right? Mm-hmm. Is knowing that your role exists in the world, that it is a legitimate, qualified role and position. And that's why I like what I do. When I get called in, a lot of people will say, well, the realtor's the last one I need because I need to move, I got to sell the house. That's the last thing I do. When really I'm probably one of the first people because I know all the other people you might want to be talking to. Yeah. I know that Stephanie is a professional in senior moves into senior communities. I know this person is a senior move manager who knows how to take what you have and fit it into the place that Stephanie's moving you into.
A few hundred square feet.
Yeah, this square feet into this square feet, and what sofa will fit. Now, you can't have both chairs, but you can have one, all those things is, okay, let's talk to this person, and let's make a team of this. Yeah. And now you have, it's a relocation team. Just as if your job was moving you from California to Dallas, it's a relocation team that is going to make this as easy for you as possible.
Exactly. Because like I've shared before, you don't need to do this alone. Let us help you figure out all of that so you can focus on what's most important.
Yeah. Because I think I've had a couple of conversations of late where what we're really seeing is so many families, like mom and dad, everybody grew up here in Dallas, but people move away. Kids move away. They live in Oklahoma City and Kansas City and Chicago and Charlotte and Austin and all these places. And now mom and dad need help and support. And then it's this decisions. Do we move mom and dad to Oklahoma City, Chicago, Austin, or what happens and what does it look like? And I think sometimes as this goes to planning, right? We talked at the beginning how we seem to see so many things that happen in urgency because nobody wants to talk about it. And yet if we know mom and dad are going to move to Austin when the time comes, mom and dad are on board with it. Yeah. Then that makes that easier. Or mom and dad are going to stay there, but let's get with Stephanie now so she knows what they like, knowing that the 3 places we go look at today may be different a year from now, and we may need to look at 3 different ones, but Stephanie's going to keep on top of that.
Yeah, because I already know what our conversation was before.
Yes. I know what kind of foods you like. I know what if you like crafts or if you like to watch sports. I know... whatever, are you still driving? Or are you not still driving? Whatever those things are, you need that person. And you need that person in your corner.
You do. And then it's also, when you move into a community, there's all the documents that you need to have in place too. And then you got to go down that rabbit hole to kind of collect all that information. And so it's just
DNRs, just
the POAs. Like powers of attorney, because you can't make financial or medical decisions without having these in place. And you want those in place before a medical emergency where mom or dad are not able to sign those documents for themselves, or, let you know what it is that they want in terms of care. And, that's part of the independence and freedom that I share with my families. You still have a voice. Yes. Let's use it. Let's put your plan into place while you're healthy. It's not sexy to think about senior living. Like everybody, they'll walk by me and they'll be like, oh, assisted living locators. Oh, no, not time yet. But we
Yeah.
also know how quickly that can change.
Yes.
And most people wait way too long to activate that plan into, reality. And then you think back and you're like, well, I could have had a better quality of life if I had just taken that step and made that, even though it didn't feel, right at that moment, because I had all these other ideas for my life. It's okay to need a little bit of help.
It's okay. Well, I
And
mean, the truth is, we are all getting older. God forbid. I mean, that's the greatest thing, right? That we are granted the opportunity to grow old. And and our bodies are our bodies. They are machines. And decisions, sometimes you can be in the best shape of all and something happens.
yeah,
And it doesn't mean anything other than something happened.
yeah,
An illness. We can't predict illness. We can't predict certain, we can't predict a fall and what that
No.
repercussion is going to be. We can't, there's just things we can't predict.
Yep.
And so by having the plan, let's talk about documents. All those things are in place.
yeah,
The plan of, okay, if something happens to dad, what do I want to do? If something happens to mom, what do I want to do? And where do we want to be? And do we want to be by this kid or that kid?
yeah,
All these are the conversations that need to happen that make it easier when they call you and say, okay, Stephanie, we're not going to move for a year, but here's what we are thinking.
yeah. Or even
Right?
like a husband and wife, like at what point is it appropriate for us to really start considering for real, when it is appropriate for us to consider a community?
Right. Right.
Do
Well,
we
and
wait until
sometimes
that
I
first
see-
fall? Is it when we can't pay our bills anymore and we're having a hard time cooking our meals? Is it when we're no longer able to start driving?
is
What
it?
are those markers for
Well,
you?
and unfortunately, I've seen this where you've got a couple and one of them may have a cognitive decline.
Mm-hmm.
The other one's fine, but we've got a cognitive decline.
Yep.
And I can take care of her. Until now this person starts declining because they aren't able to care.
Yep.
And it's making sure early on that everybody's in agreement that when one partner,
Yep.
if it should happen, this is what we're going to do.
Yeah.
This is how we'll handle it if I or mom has a brain change because it's
Yeah.
happening, right? And so
I mean, it will happen to more of us than we would want to be comfortable saying.
yes.
And there's such a challenge because when it's, a couple like that, one will cover for the other. And so none of
They
the
make a
kids
good
really
team.
know
They
how.
make a really good team
Yeah.
until
It's not.
Until it's
And-
not.
And kids feel, they finally realize like how much things have broken down.
Yeah.
But, we don't need to live that way. There are options where they can still be together. She gets the appropriate care. He gets the socialization and the activities that are really appropriate for him. They can still come together and eat meals. They can
Yes.
still go to church together.
Yes.
They can do the things that are meaningful as a couple, but still get the appropriate care where they both get a great quality of life. We don't
Yes.
need to sacrifice one for the other.
That's a good way of putting it. That's a
Yeah.
great way of putting it because it is, we're together through,
Yeah.
and it's great. And, we only hope that we all find that love that lasts that long and is that strong, right?
Yep.
And yet you don't want to sacrifice one for the other. And we can put things in place to make sure both get the support and each other
Yeah.
at the same time.
Of course.
So if there was one thing that maybe we didn't mention or that you just want to make sure that people hear, what would it be when it comes to senior living and making choices?
I think understanding that there are placement advisors that can help you navigate. And for my service, there's no cost whatsoever. I think people are always stunned by that. They're all like, Stephanie, like, I know you're a good person, but like, how do you make money off of that?
I also know you're not a volunteer, so how's this working?
I love volunteering, but I can't make money off of that still.
Yeah.
And like I shared with you earlier, I do have children I need to feed too. But no, like I am paid by the communities. And so it works very much like an apartment locator in terms of, you know, whenever you decide on your perfect community and home, that's how I would get the compensation. So it really does not sway me one way or the other where I show you. My focus is on you, your family, what's best for you. And then on the back end, then I'll be able to get that referral fee. But I think that's one of the big things to think about, but also making sure that you're working with somebody who is trusted and somebody who can really meet your needs and is listening to what it is that you are sharing with them, because this is such a critical decision to make. You don't want to walk that journey with somebody that you don't feel good working with.
No.
And so like for me, it's a lot of times it's working with families and building up that trust so that they can, you know, feel like, oh, this is somebody I can really work with and feel good about. And a lot of times that is through word of mouth referrals. And so, of course, Robin, like you sending people my way, like it means a lot when I get those recommendations that others have sent, you know, that family that they care about so deeply to me, because they know that they're walking down this journey and they don't want them doing this by themselves. They don't want them going to the internet and thinking that that is going to be the best source of information for them. And so I think that that is really important for me. Just like when you go and you sell your home, there's options.
There's options for everything. And I think we forget that. And again, a lot of times this situation comes up in urgency.
Yeah. And
so we are making these quick decisions, and you know, and I just call them the third-party aggregates, and I'm not going to name anybody, but I think everybody knows who it is, that you go on these sites and then all of a sudden they're selling your name to 50,000 other people. Now your phone is ringing off the hook, and you can't make any, you know, you can't make any decisions at all, and you feel pressured. I think when you have somebody like Stephanie, you're going to know when they come to you and they have a conversation with you, not, well, meet me over at XYZ place, and they just start taking you around. Yeah. Right? You want to have that conversation first so that the person knows you.
Of course.
And I think that's key.
I want them to feel like there is a collaboration, that they can call me, text me, whatever it is. I think the other thing that people are surprised by, you know, is that, oh, I'm so sorry for messaging you so late, or I'm sorry I'm bothering you on Christmas Eve, or whatever it is. Like, I don't have hours. We know emergencies don't wait for an 8 to 5 schedule. And so families reach out to me whenever they need me. It doesn't matter what the question is. If I can help, I will certainly answer those questions for them. I've had people who reached out to me just, you know, they're in the hospital with a loved one and they've got 30 options for rehab and they have no idea what to do.
Yeah. Yeah, because so people know you're in the hospital. They say, okay, I need you to pick one of these 20 places for rehab. And I need you to do that now because we're discharging first thing tomorrow morning. So pick one. Yeah. You're like, which one, you know, which, or hospice care or this care or that, you know, you have choices no matter what you may feel like. Mm-hmm. You have choices.
And if somebody's not doing the job that you selected them for, you can always have the right to discontinue services and work with somebody who will take care of you the way that you deserve to be treated.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, thank you, Stephanie. I so appreciate you spending a little time with me today and kind of just explaining to folks what this is, because there's so many areas of senior care and senior help that people don't even know exists.
Yeah. Well, thank you for inviting me and just, you know, spending some time together so I can share a little bit more about what I do and how I can help families.
I love it. I love it. So if we're going to put all of Stephanie's information in the show notes and all the places. So if you have questions about what she does, or even if it's someone in another location than where you are. We're in Dallas, but, her company is nationwide, and, so we've all got relationships in other places. So don't let the fact that she's in Dallas or I'm in Dallas keep you from reaching out to us. And if you have any questions, just let us know.
All right. Well, thank you.
And thank you for tuning in to another episode of Relax, I Got This, Embracing Life After 60. Please just make sure you hit that subscribe button and tune in next time for the next very important episode. We'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you for joining me on Relax, I Got This, Embracing Life After 60. I know that time is our greatest asset, and I appreciate the time that you spend with me. If you're finding the information on this podcast useful, please subscribe to the channel on your favorite platform so that you never miss another episode. Don't forget to go to our website where you will find additional resources, downloads, and coaching programs. Once again, thank you so much for tuning in, and we'll see you next time on Relax, I Got This, Embracing Life After 60.